Ladies and gentlemen, internet, my name is Peridiam, and happy Mother's Week. Yeah, a whole week. Why not? To celebrate, I want to revisit a subject touched upon a while ago: casting archetypes on Survivor. The not so secret notion that every single person to ever be on a season is cast based on a type. Every player fits a certain role, like a piece in a puzzle or a member of a family, that forms the big picture. But before I go deeper, I want to mention that the archetypes in this video were accumulated by a longtime fan of the show named MadDog. Using a lot of research predominantly from the preseason of each season, MadDog has categorized every player on Survivor based on the paradigm they likely filled when they were cast. Not to say that the casting department of Survivor uses these particular roles, but I do believe they have boxes they want to check. Likewise, if you've watched the Mafioso video I made a while ago, this is an evolving science because in total there are 40 current player archetypes, 5 more than the last time I spoke about them. I'll put the links in the description if you would like to check out the rest. Meanwhile, in this video I am planning on talking about just one of them: Teen Mom.
I miss my husband and my children more than anything. I'm still kind of a newlywed. I've only been married just a year and a half, and my husband is my very best friend, and I miss picking my kids up from school and having my son happy to see me, and I just miss everything about him.
Hey, babe. We love you, and we...
Dale must be typing. Hello.
So, what is Teen Mom? The Teen Mom player archetype is a woman who is cast to fill the motherly role on her season. Younger players often look to her to be their lighthouse of sorts, the comforting nest away from home, a refuge for when the times get tough. They're typically easy to spot on any given cast, as they tend to be one of the older, with air quotes, females each season, usually with kids of their own back home. To run down the numbers, there are currently 27 categorized Teen Mom players stretching across 40 seasons. So almost every season has at least one, especially when you consider the returning player seasons, where at least half the cast is composed of returning players, of which there are 8, are usually not included in this analysis because those seasons are cast largely based on reputation and less so on archetype. So really, it's out of 32 seasons. Compare this to the Mafioso archetype I talked about previously, where only a handful, single digits, have ever existed. And it puts into perspective how frequent the motherly figure is on Survivor. From season 1 to season 29, only one all-newbie cast didn't have a Teen Mom player, that being season 5 Thailand. Other than that, every season has featured a Teen Mom archetype in some way, from someone as young as 31, the youngest actually, Sundra in season 13 Cook Islands, to the oldest of the bunch, Lisa Welchel, in season 25 Philippines. And speaking of age, that's the range of the motherly archetype as we've currently seen it, 31 to 49. 6 of the 27 Teen Mom players were in their 30s, from Gretchen in Borneo to Rita in Fiji and Leslie in China, who are all 38, to Laura in Samoa and Cece in Millennials Gen X, who were 39. You may notice they were all on the higher end of the 30s, and that is not something to ignore. Overwhelmingly, Teen Mom are women in their 40s, 78% to be exact, or they're pushing close to it. And what's more, the average age of the mom archetype makes that pretty clear at 43 years old. And I can't say I'm surprised. Although my mom was only 31 when I was born, Survivor tends to cast women who likely have kids who have grown up beyond their toddler and elementary years. But regardless of how old their kids are, it needs to be said that not all mothers on Survivor fall into the Teen Mom archetype. For example, Sierra Easton, the woman infamous for voting her mom out, was a mom herself going into season 27 Blood vs. Water, but Sierra never fit the Teen Mom type. She was a Phoenix archetype, a player with a story centered around her hardship being a teen mom, which isn't the same as the other women we're focusing on in this video. On the other hand, Sierra's mom, Laura, definitely was on Teen Mom, and her story on that season strongly encapsulates what this player type is all about: unity, support, and building a stronger tribe. Even beyond the show, we've seen this as far back as the very first season with Gretchen, and it only stayed the course from there. Teen Mom isn't called Team Mom for no reason.
I think the camp looks trashy. I think stuff's all over the place. I think the flag should be up. I mean, there's a lot we could do to make this camp look really nice. I mean, something's going to have to change. Something's going to have to happen to make everybody decide to pitch in.
I'm not their mother. It's not my position to get in the middle and send them both to timeout. But to be honest, I think one of the problems needs to go.
Kathy, she's a hardworking woman. She is very energetic, very outgoing. I mean, she's out here for the kill. You know, she just wants to get things done.
You know, if you stick this out, even if you make it 10 days, think of how proud your husband and your children are going to be of you. And that hit me like a wall, and I'm like, I'm staying. And by me not quitting, I hope that I'm going to be an inspiration for my children the rest of their lives.
Getting those letters just helped me remember I'm here for them. I'm here for my kids and my husband. And one thing I laughed out loud is one of my brothers wrote, I bet you made a few friends and a few enemies by now. And what I liked about it is it was like, and that's okay. That's okay if you make a couple enemies in this game. It's just motivation to finish the game strong and to not let my feelings betray me and cost me getting to the end of this game.
Just like in real life, mothers are support structures. They build self-esteem, encourage our dreams, and hopefully love us unconditionally. The unfortunate aspect of this is when the same standard isn't reflected on the mother figure. Of the 27 teen moms, only one has ever won Survivor. Tina Wesson, way back in season 2, the Australian Outback, one of the OGs to really set the standard. And while no teen mom has ever been a first boot, I think nowadays it's much more common to associate the mother figure in the game as a player who almost stands no chance to win. We've seen far more moms go far and lose, especially at the final tribal council, such as with Susie on season 17, Lisa on 25, Dawn on season 26, Monica on season 27, or Missy on season 29. Wow, it's almost uncanny how many moms lost at the same spot in the game year after year. But more than that, I think the producers noticed the same thing because starting with season 30, Worlds Apart, only 3 teen mom players have been cast on Survivor, a far cry from the 24 before them. We saw Cece and Sunday on season 33 and then Julie on season 38. And that's it. I gotta wonder, did the producers decide they'd seen enough? Send Teen Mom to the retirement home, honey, but she's only pushing 50. Unfortunately for the mother archetype, many times the Survivor moms fail to have their support reciprocated, to have the same level of emotion they exert sent their way from the rest of the tribe. Every archetype, from the know-it-all to the golden boy to the social butterfly to the mafioso, can excel or falter out of the gate, but there's a particular exception with Teen Mom. Despite many of these women losing at the finals, many mothers have come close to pulling off what Tina did back in season 2. Susie was 1 vote shy of winning Gabon. Lisa did have a winning path to the endgame of Philippines despite her rough start. And despite Kathy's early stumble in season 4, she was poised to win the game going far, going as far as the final 3. Likewise, we saw Holly on season 21 stumble out of the gates, nearly crash and burn, but instead pick herself back up and become what many would call a fallen angel, cut short just before the finish line in 4th place, 1 placement shy of getting a chance to talk to the jury. Even Julie, the latest teen mom to play the game as of this video, reached the final 3 despite telling us how in the first episode she was more of a city slicker than what Survivor would be asking of her. There's a recurring tenacity in all of these women that, even though it doesn't lead to them winning, oftentimes leads to them keeping their own game afloat to go the distance. The average placement of Teen Mom is above the 50% mark, around 9th to 10th place out of 20, which tells me being a mom on Survivor isn't a death knell. Many moms may not win, but they do go far. That said, filling up a tribe mate's shoes with sand and sinking them in the ocean isn't a great look.
So I think the best way for me to handle the situation with Dad is to try to find a way to release my anger. So let's just fill his shoes up. I'm not going to sit back anymore and let them rub things in my face. I've been too nice up to this point, but the game has just begun. Right now I'm struggling emotionally. This game is turning me into somebody I'm not, and it's draining on me. And I'm realizing this might not be for me. I took your shoes out of your bag, filled them with sand, and I put them in the water. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to help out around camp as much as I can, but I live in New York City. I have no outdoor survival skills whatsoever, so this is definitely going to be a test for me.
Be careful with that.
Because I don't want to be the person that everybody looks at as like the older woman. She's a mom. What is she doing here?
I don't have any support here.
And I'm frustrated that these people aren't being more cautious about this.
I don't feel like I'm fitting in. I'm already on the outside and don't really have somebody that I can trust or talk to. I'm trying to learn to open up and trust more and depend on other people, but this is not the place to experiment with that.
I do think there's something to how mothers are almost not permitted to backstab. The impact of being betrayed by someone you might inherently view as a more trustworthy kind of person might sting deeper than some kind of salesman hotshot or nerdy superfan. Emotions are heightened on Survivor when you're starving and sleep deprived and paranoid, and an older, caring woman who maybe kind of resembles your mom back home, who's showing difficulty controlling her own emotions, may not sit well with the average person. You expect them to perhaps own their duplicity, not struggle with it, but they probably wouldn't be in Team Mom if they didn't to some degree, and perhaps that's the biggest hurdle of all with this archetype, and why they've consistently lost. They care too much. It's a beautiful paradox. It's a game, but with real people, but they signed up for this. But that doesn't turn us into plastic pieces on a chessboard, but there can only be one winner. Yeah, but moms spread the wealth.
As a Survivor fan, when I watch the game, I love to see people just stand up for what they believe in, kind of at the expense of the $1 million. I mean, I feel like I should have stood up for Cochran sooner. Sorry. He's a really great kid, and he reminds me a lot of, I have a son that reminds me of him who has red hair. But you're trying to kind of protect your interests the whole way through. You want to stay. And I've always tried to remember it's a game for $1 million, you know, and that this is a game with casualties.
I've got to share the past 42 days with a lot of people who are extremely close to their family. And I think for the first time in my life, the Outback has taught me the value of how much your family means to you and that you really do need each other. And whenever I get home, I want to go back and for the first time really nurture my family.
She has the courage now to say to her mom, Mom, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And by the way, I may have to vote you out of that $1 million. And the fact that my daughter has the courage to say that to me shows that she has grown as a woman, that she's no longer this little girl, which ultimately for me, makes me proud. And to sit there and to see how strong she was and to hear her say, this is what I'm going to do, Mom. You're kind of hindering me on this and I might have to go over you. As an individual player in the game was like, oh no, that's not really in my, that's going to cut my chances. But as a mother, I was like, it is a huge blessing for me to be out here to witness that. Worth way more than $1 million. Worth way more than $1 million.
I think at the tail end of looking at all of these different players and what they've brought to the table and the success and failure that they've found, it brings me back to the basic analysis of what this show is. Survivor is incredibly complicated because people are incredibly complicated, and more than anything, I think this archetype exemplifies that. From Texas to California to Utah to Tennessee to Minnesota, this is Team Mom on Survivor. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the analysis drawn from all of these examples and stats. Let me know what you think about moms on the show. And beyond that, are there any other archetypes that you would want me to prioritize analyzing in the future? Regardless, a huge thank you to my patrons and matrons on the screen. And don't forget, on your way out, Happy Mother's Day, and I will see you in the next one once I go call my mom.
All moms are heroes because they put other people before themselves. They don't even stop and think. They put themselves on the line every day. Yes, not like a firefighter or a Marine, but it is with great love and no thought that they get in there and do whatever they have to do for their kids. And so moms are not only heroes, but we are also healers. And we are also hustlers. The whole thing is you never give up on your dreams. You can be a 47-year-old mom and freaking do this.